Welcome to my best 15-minute air fry recipes.
First thing is some peanut butter. I've got a massive tub here. Look at that. The smell is incredible of that. Right, you want 45 grams. Now, I'm making this for 3 of us this evening. You'll need some coconut milk, and I'm using a full fat one, and 200 millilitres. I've got a lime around here somewhere, if I can find it. Nah, there you go. Got my lime, and we're going to cut that in half, and we're going to juice that, and that is going to go lovely in our nice satay sauce. Just really balances it out, so don't miss the lime, it is important. And then the other half. So juice of a lime goes into the satay sauce. Now we need some soy sauce. If you're gluten-free like me, then you can get this one here, which is tamari, and that is gluten-free. Tastes the same as far as I'm concerned. So a tablespoon, lovely. And then I want a teaspoon of curry powder, and you can use whichever curry powder you wish to. So teaspoon. And then I got a new jar of honey here. Lovely. We want a tablespoon of honey. It's going to give that sweetness to our sauce. And we're going to actually heat this on the hob in a saucepan. So now I'm just slicing up my chicken. So I want them to be quite chunky pieces to make my chicken tenders. Salt and black pepper on the chicken. Now on my plate, I'm going to crack my egg. Let's give that a little beat. So with this recipe, there's a little bit of work to do in the prep, but other than that, it is super, super easy. Now I want my breadcrumbs. You can make your own breadcrumbs, you can buy them. These ones are gluten-free because that is what I need. Any breadcrumbs. Panko is particularly nice with this type of recipe. Okay, I can always add more to the plate if I need to. Last thing I was going to season my chicken with was some garlic granules, because I think that will go really, really nicely with this dish. So grab a piece of chicken and in your egg, drip any excess off, and then into those breadcrumbs. Look at that. That is good to me. When these are all done, these are going to go onto air fry, and I'm going to put them on 200 degrees centigrade, which is 400 Fahrenheit. And they will go on for around 16 to 18 minutes, I would estimate. I'm going to check mine with a meat thermometer. I can tell you this smells absolutely incredible, and you will not regret making this. This is yummy, so yummy. Tasted a little bit, it's just amazing. This sauce, as you can see, has thickened up nicely. Before we put the lid down on the chicken, let's just spray it with some oil. Great, lid down onto air fry. I said 200 is what I was doing, didn't I? And I'm going to put it on for 15 minutes to start with, and then we'll just increase the time, keeping on the temperature. When we get to halfway and this beeps, I'll be turning it over, and then I'll keep turning it over every minute or so, because we want to get that coating nice and crispy and even with the colour. Chicken is actually cooked in 15 minutes. I've checked it with my meat thermometer and we are all good to go. So I've served up my vegetables and my rice here, and then in here I'm just coating this crispy chicken in that lovely satay sauce. Oh my goodness. It tastes absolutely incredible. So here it is, my satay chicken tenders. Look at that lovely sauce. Topped it with some chilies there, obviously completely optional. There is rice under there, you can hardly see it, and some veg on the side. Let's make some apple turnovers. I'm going to start off by using sear and saute, and we're just going to soften down and cook our apples. So let's put the apple in. You can use a mixture. You can use Bramley apple and then maybe a sweet apple as well. That works quite nicely as a balance. To my apples, I'm going to add some dark brown sugar. 50 grams of sugar, and then I'm actually using 50 grams of raisins as well. They're completely optional, you don't have to put those in. I love cinnamon with apple, so around half a teaspoon of cinnamon. Give those a good mix, and we want to get these beautifully soft and caramelized in that sugar. Now I think we need to turn down the sear and saute. We don't want it too high. I'm also going to add a little bit of maple syrup as well. So you'll see that I've chopped the apples into sort of smallest sort of bite-sized pieces. So I've put my apple mixture here into a bowl just so that it can cool down that bit quicker, because I don't want that to be hot when it goes onto my pastry. My pastry I've cut into 4 equal squares because I'm making 4 of these. So we want to grab some of our filling and lay it sort of on one side, because we're going to turn this over and make a triangle shape. Bit of apple that side. I think that looks good now. Great, we can turn that over. Excuse my dirty hands, making a mess on it. And then what I do is I seal the edges, and then we can sprinkle over some demerara sugar on the top. Oh yes, look how nice that is going to be. Now these fit perfectly on my rack, so I've layered it up. We've got a double layer there. I've put parchment paper on them so that they're not going to stick. We can lower those in. Now we may find that the top ones cook quicker than the bottom ones, and that's pretty normal because obviously we've got the height difference. So just keep an eye on them. But I'm going to air fry now on 180. Oh my goodness, look at my hands. 180 for 15 minutes. And like I said, keep an eye on them because you've got them staggered, and I know that the top ones are going to brown and cook quicker. Look at those, they are so golden on top because we've got that sugar that we put on there. Absolutely gorgeous, so flaky, and the kitchen smells absolutely incredible. I really hope you enjoy the recipe. Please don't forget to give me a like on this video. If you want the full written recipe, head over to my website, www.susannahskitchen.uk. We're going to layer up the Ninja and make this work because we want to air fry the whole thing in one go. So let's start off with our chicken. So I'm just going to move the chicken into the shot there for you. So chicken, I've got a portion for 2 people here. And I'm going to grab my soy sauce. So around half a tablespoon in here. There you go. Let's just pour that over. And to that I want to add some corn flour, and we want around half a tablespoon of corn flour. And all I do is just give that a little mix, and that's going to coat the outside of that chicken. Now my chicken is going to go into the bottom of my Ninja pot and go onto air fry. So that is all that we're putting on the chicken at this stage. So just spread that out in the bottom of your pot. Now we're going to make a glaze that's going to go on the chicken towards the end of cooking. Now I'm going to be using some garlic puree, around half a tablespoon, half a tablespoon of soy sauce, another half a tablespoon of sweet chili sauce. Love this stuff, so tasty. About half a tablespoon again. That bit's for me. Yum. Oh, so good. I want just half a tablespoon of water. That's just going to help loosen that up a little bit. And then the last thing going in is half a tablespoon of honey. So now just give that a little stir together. Oh goodness me, look at the mess I'm making. Never mind. That is going to make that chicken taste absolutely delicious. So we can set that aside. Now let's prepare our fried rice. So in here I have got some basmati rice, and this is just out of a microwave packet. So just break up the little grains. They do get a little bit stuck together, don't they, when you have these microwave packets. And let's start layering up our flavours. So into there half a tablespoon of soy sauce, half a teaspoon of sesame oil, half a tablespoon of the garlic, around a teaspoon of ginger, which I've got here. I'm using fresh ginger, but you can use some ground ginger, some dry ginger, frozen ginger, whatever you like. I've also got in here grated carrot and some frozen peas. So that is all going in the bowl with the rice. And then half a teaspoon of Chinese 5-spice. Now I'm using fish sauce, and then I'm also going to be using some teriyaki sauce. You can change these up. I've chosen to use these today. You can make this with hoisin, and you can also make it with some oyster sauce. So it's really up to you. But fish sauce is very strong, so don't go too crazy with that. Half a tablespoon is going to be more than enough. And then the teriyaki sauce, I'm going to add about half a tablespoon again. Now that is everything for our rice, and really it's just a case of just mixing all of those flavours in together. So my fried rice, I'm going to be cooking above my chicken. So I have got the rack and I've got it on the higher setting. So look, that is the piece that moves at the bottom there. So you want that nice and high, and then we can get our rice into here. And I'm purely just doing this so that I can cook both at once. If you've got like a dual air fryer with 2 drawers, and you could do it like that. I just wanted to keep this separate so that when I add the sauce to the chicken is really well coated in that, and the rice just doesn't sort of absorb all of that. We want to give that a little bit of spray oil. We want to do this on 190. And let's just reduce the time. Literally just want 2 or 3 minutes. I haven't preheated this, so I think I'm going to go with 3 minutes to start off with on air fry, just the chicken alone. Now the chicken has had those 3 minutes. Obviously I'm not expecting it to look cooked whatsoever, but it has just started to colour those edges ever so slightly, and we've heated up the pot nicely. Now I'm going to lower in the rice, and that's just going to sit over the top. Let's give the rice a little bit of a spray. Now we are going to turn the rice during cooking. This is now going to go on still at 190, and we're going to do this for 8 minutes, so 8 more minutes. So the chicken's already had 3, 8 minutes with the rice in. Stir this halfway. Brilliant, that is just finished. So you need to move the rice about. I did this probably every 2 minutes. I just gave it a little toss around with a spoon just to mix it up. So you get these nice little crispy parts that form on the top, and it's just delicious. It makes it taste more like a proper fried rice. So now we can remove this part. So I'm just going to see where the chicken's at with a thermometer. Happy at this stage to add the sauce over the chicken. So I'm literally just going to scrape that straight into the chicken. Oh, it smells so nice. Okay, and now let's give this a good blast on air fry. So I think I'm going to turn the heat up. Still going to keep it in the bottom of the pot because we've got the sauce in there. It really is not going to need much time. I'm going to keep an eye on this. So let's go for 5 minutes, but I'm thinking it's probably going to need 2 to 3. We just want to get a little bit more colour on the outside, really want to get that glaze and sauce coating that chicken and sticking to it, and we'll use a thermometer to check it again. That looks absolutely delicious. Can't wait to tuck in. It's low on calories as well, this meal, and it's all done on air fry. To start making these white chocolate air fryer blondies, we want some butter. And in my bowl here, we've got 100 grams, and that is unsalted. So we're going to add 150 grams of the light brown sugar into the butter. And then we're going to melt this in the microwave because it's just the quickest, easiest and most convenient way to do it. Just make sure it's not too hot when you add your eggs into it because you don't want your eggs to scramble. So in here, I've got 1 egg yolk, and we're just going to crack a whole egg into there. Whoa, Whoops, managed to get some on the worktop, never mind. Now we add that in and just keep mixing it. 150 grams. Okay. Yeah. We should have really used a bigger dish for this, but let's kind of work with it, shall we, now we've started. We're using a baking tin today, and that is 7 inches across. It's quite important to not use too big a dish or pot, because if you do, the blondies are going to be a lot thinner and they're going to cook at a different rate. Whereas if you use one that is more or less the same size as mine, you get the right thickness and the cook time will work for you perfectly. So you're going to need 150 grams of white chocolate chips. So we're just measuring those out. Now you just need to mix this together and then we can get that in the baking tin. So this fits perfectly in my air fryer because I've got the Ninja Foodi, which is circular. If you've got a different air fryer and say you've got a basket, then just use the shape of dish that will fit into yours. It doesn't really matter what shape and size these are. They're going to taste exactly the same. So mine just sits on the rack here, which then inserts into my Foodi, ready for air frying. I get the lid down. We want to turn and reduce the heat, so turn that down to 160, and then cook time, I've found these take around 15 minutes. Oh, look at that. All you're going to want to do is remove this now, leave it to cool on the side. So let's do that. So there you go. This is what it's going to look like. So we've got a solid top. As you can see, when you touch it, it almost cracks. Just let that now cool at room temperature. That's going to continue to cook for a little while in there because obviously it's still very warm. So if you don't feel that it's cooked enough, then you can go slightly longer. It's going to depend on your air fryer, but anything probably 14 to 16 minutes. I generally do mine for 15 and find it works perfectly. And then what I do, like if you've seen my brownie recipe, is that we then put that into the fridge for around 4 or 5 hours, something along those lines, maybe slightly less you might get away with, and then you can portion it up. And this is going to give you a really good amount of portions. I would say at least 8 in here. So here are the white chocolate blondies. Look at those, so indulgent. Got a gorgeous crispy top to them. And look at all of that chocolate inside. They look absolutely delicious. So to make my sweet and sour skewers, I have done a little bit of prep to start with. So we've got chunks of pineapple, onion and peppers all there. I am going to cut up some chicken as well. I'm using chicken breast. Of course, you can use thighs. In my saucepan, I want to create my sauce. Some of the sauce I'm going to use to coat the chicken skewers, and then some of it will be for serving. Right, in my saucepan, 175 millilitres of water. We need to add our sugar in. And remember, this is sweet and sour. I'm going to go with 40 grams of sugar. We need some vinegar. I'm using white wine vinegar, any sort of clear vinegar. A distilled vinegar will work. Around 50 mils. And then we want a tablespoon of soy sauce. And then we also want some of the reserved pineapple juice. I'm not going to put too much in. You saw there, I just poured a small amount in. We'll see how we go with that. Now we need to heat this to dissolve all of that together. But we also need some other ingredients to thicken that up. We're going to be using some ketchup. Oh, and I meant to add in my garlic. I'm using garlic granules. You can most definitely use fresh garlic. If you're going to create your sauce with fresh garlic, I'd add a little bit of spray oil into the bottom, cook off your fresh garlic, and then add the rest in. But for me, I'd say probably 1 garlic clove crushed. So let's just add a little bit of garlic in. We want about 15 grams of corn flour. And I'm just going to dissolve that in some water. There you go. If you add corn flour straight in, it just goes all lumpy and horrible, but that is perfect to thicken up our sauce. Right, that came to a boil. So now we're going to put in our ketchup, around half a tablespoon to a tablespoon of ketchup. Whisk that in, and then in with our corn flour mix, and then mix that again. I'm going to put that back on the heat until that has thickened. Brilliant. So you want this thick enough that it's going to be able to coat the chicken, and also a lovely sauce to serve alongside. So into there, I'm just going to add some sesame seeds, probably around a teaspoon. My sweet and sour skewers here are ready to be air fried. I'm going to spray those with a little bit of oil, just going to help give them a little bit of colour. And these are really well loaded. We've got the onion, we've got the pineapple, peppers, chicken, bit of a mixture on each one. They smell so good. And by the way, off camera, I coated them with that sauce. So I used maybe sort of half the sauce to coat those. And then the other part of the sauce, I'm going to heat up for serving with them later. So let's get these onto air fry. I'm going to choose 190, and I think these are going to take around 15 minutes. Here are my beautiful sweet and sour skewers. We've got a nice bit of colour on the edge there of the onion and the chicken, and the chicken is still so moist and tender. 15 minutes is just right. I've made some egg fried rice underneath mine, and I'm serving it with that gorgeous sauce.